Real successful people are the ones who don't even bother about obstacles because they know exactly what they want. Maxime Lagacé. My friends, we see stocks are down along with gold and Bitcoin. Bonds are up. Let's jump into these charts. What are we waiting for? Well, we're above the 200 EMA. We can see things pulling back. Now, they could pull back enough that they rotate back below the 200 EMA on the S&P 500. But at this point, what I want to see happen, if things are going to keep going up, is for the STC to go from green, like we saw back here, to red and reset us for another boom up where we could jump in and ride it up. And of course, you guys, several of you did jump into this trade heading up and have ridden that up on the success trail. Of course, now that things are starting to pull back, we're still in the green there, and you may still be riding that. In fact, we were tracking that earlier, and it's not hit its success limits yet, but hopefully you were looking at what was going on yesterday afternoon and today. You're paying close attention to the STC. And again, as we continue to keep an eye on these things, we will watch, and hopefully that'll be resetting for everyone. Where are we now on the 2-day? The 2-day has pushed up. We saw in the prior 2-day candle. Now it's fallen below the 200 EMA here. Still green on the STC. What about the weekly? Well, we look at the weekly and we can see where it last week went green. We've reached a higher high so far this week. And of course, we will continue to watch, wait, and see how these things progress for us. And if we have a reset on that half-day chart for another up move. So that's where we are on the S&P, NASDAQ 100. It pushed up through the 200 and then fell back below it. So we are waiting for it to go red on the STC so we can jump into a down move. Now we're tempering that. How? Well, we're tempering it with the fact that we are green on the STC and green up candles on this 2-day chart. Again, we do see that we're not reaching higher highs, candles much smaller than the prior two. So that'd give us a better feeling about going into a down trade. But on the weekly, it's just now going green and of course is pushed up strongly through the 200 EMA. So again, if we jump into a down move in the short term, we're going to be very, very cautious because right now it's a positive 15. So means that when it does go red on the STC, you're still a positive 14 in a down move, which is quite risky. So we'll wait, watch, and see, make a determination. If and when that presents itself, we'll probably take that trade if it does nonetheless, just as an experiment so you can see what you're betting against if you jump into a down trade with a positive 14. Now, and that's on the success multiplier formula. If you don't understand what I'm talking about, we got a great training on that. I'll put our top 4 trainings at the end of today's video. For those of you who are new, still trying to figure out what it is we're talking about here, it's simple, but it does require some knowledge to be able to follow the wisdom. What do we see happening with the half-day chart on 20-year bonds? Well, 20-year bonds have, of course, taken quite a beating. We are well below the 200 EMA here. Nice to see things moving up. Perhaps they've bottomed in bonds. It's about time. We are below the 200 EMA here on the half-day. Also, you'll see how far below we are on the 2-day and the weekly when we get there, up 2.21%. Here's where we are on the 2-day, and I want you to see how far below the 200 EMA we are. Quite far below, but we look at where we are on the STC. It is green. It is moving up, 3 nice green up candles, but still a ways to go. What about the weekly? When we look on the weekly, it's just going to green, but it too is well below. You can see the 200 EMA right here at the top of the right-hand side of the screen. Got a lot of room to go. So again, we'll see if we do push above this 200 EMA, we will be looking on this short-term chart to potentially jump into a long trade, but ain't happened yet, and it may not happen. We'll wait, watch, and see. Of course, if things rotate over going down, we'll keep in mind that the 2-day is green and the weekly are green, so we would be, again, looking at a trade where we'd be going against our STCs, but we're well below the 200 EMA, unlike we see on our stock charts. On the bond charts, we're well below the 200 EMA here. So we'll keep an eye on things, see how that shapes up. Maybe we get a trade, maybe we don't. What about gold? Well, gold rocketed up through the 200 EMA on this half-day chart, and it is slowly petering out right now. Maybe it's digesting things. Hopefully it's going to rotate over, going down to reset the STC so we can jump back in it now that we're above the 200 EMA. And you might say, Tom, why didn't we just jump in when it was below the 200 EMA? Because the rules are, when you're in a downtrend, you don't go jumping into uptrends. Once you pass it, that becomes an opportunity, but you have to have a reset on the STC. That means it needs to pull back, move in the opposite direction, that is go red, move from the top all the way down to the bottom below this band in here, which it just barely did, and then turn back over and head up. But that's predicated upon being above the 200 EMA for an up trade. Just a rule we have. You ask, why do you have those rules, Tom? Because they work. They work over and over and over again. Look at gold stalling as it hits this 200 EMA. Is it going to push through it on the 2-day chart? Don't know. Sure has knocked up to it. Again, STC is at the top. Maybe it'll keep moving up. Maybe it will slowly die. We can see on the weekly chart where it pushed through last week and even more this week. The 200 EMA, it's green on the STC and heading up just now, clearing this center band. So we'll see how much more gold has in it before it pulls back and maybe lets us jump into an up move. I'm ready to buy gold. I don't know about you. Hope you'll do a practice trade if it presents an opportunity. Now, lastly, we'll go to Bitcoin. Where is Bitcoin? Well, maybe it's finally stopped, but stop, drop, and roll. I don't know, because it's on fire, not in a good way, burning up. Well, it dropped from the 18-something mark down to this high 15, 16 mark. And again, quite tough. Maybe this is going to be the new bottom and it'll move up from there. Or maybe it's just going to consolidate for a while and get hammered down again. I don't know. We're not in Bitcoin right now. I've told you not to be in Bitcoin in any of your practice trades. We're not a Bitcoin calling service, but we warned you. What the other thing I warned you about? Everybody says, Tom, why aren't you using this 24-hour-a-day Bitcoin at any of these crypto exchanges? Why are you using XBTF, the VanEck Bitcoin Strategy ETF? Because it's traded in the markets, not in a Bitcoin exchange. You can find it on your favorite online broker where you buy and sell stocks. So we can practice trade it right there. Why? Because it has been approved by the SEC and it's traded as an ETF. I don't want to go putting my money into any of these Bitcoin exchanges, crypto exchanges, none of them. If I'm going to practice trade Bitcoin, I want to do it the way I would do it in real life, the way I've done it in real life. But again, speaking about our training, I want you to train the way you're going to play. So if you want to do the crypto stuff at these crypto exchanges, then of course you can practice trade those things. There's probably a number of them who have the ability for you to practice trade. You can at least paper trade it on your own without having to have one of those, that kind of software that allows you to do it and looks like it's real at the channel here. And if you did even just want to jump in at some point and do some fractional trading, you can buy a share for $16. You lose 10% of that, not a big deal. $1.60 you've lost. If you lose the whole thing, not a big deal. But again, practice trade to show yourself approved. I don't see any trades here right now. I'm not doing any practice trades or anything in Bitcoin, waiting for it to sort itself out. At some point, it probably will. That is where we are on the half-day chart on Bitcoin, 2-day chart. You can again see where things are hitting around the same spot, around that 1570, 1550 mark, something like that. And on the weekly, just a big down candle for this week again. We're not quite to the low we hit last week, but we'll see where Bitcoin is going to go. Nothing there right now. That's where we are, folks, as we end the day on Wednesday, go into Thursday. I'm getting ready to do as soon as I finish up this one and start the upload process for our Patreon members. I'll be doing charting cryptos and commodities. I'll release that to the general public on Friday. So much appreciation goes out to our Patreon supporters. Thank you. If you like what we do here, support us. The things you support tend to stay around. God bless. All the best from the whole team at Charting Wealth World Headquarters.